Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday evening, which means it's smile time. I'm just trying to get some extra light in here. My one light just suddenly died on me. There we go. I'm hoping you've all had a wonderful afternoon. And for those of you who weren't here for the lunchtime broadcast, we actually had a lot of fun. We were doing a lot of cleaning in the kitchen with scrubbing bubbles, of all things. It was amazing the things that it cleaned and how well it cleaned. And just if you've never realized it, it has a lot more use than just your bathroom. So catch up on that video if you haven't seen it before. The other thing is my tip for the day, while I think about it, is that I am keeping my fruit. Hi there, Jody. I'm keeping my fruit in a nut bag. And the reason is because the nut bag is very, very fine mesh. And that's sort of keeping it a lot more, it's keeping the fruit flies away from it pretty well. So I thought I'd just mention that. By the way, I went out and I bought literally $40 worth of fruit today. So some of it's going into the freezer, but most of it, not most of it, half of it will go in the freezer and half of it I'm going to eat. I'm still trying to work out, and that's something I'm going to do some calculations on this week. Is it cheaper to actually buy frozen fruit, or is it cheaper to buy your own, freeze it, and do that? So that's what I'm just checking. Yeah, Jody, I suddenly thought of that today, which is what a great way to keep it out. I realize that if I don't keep it out on show, I probably am not going to eat it, and so therefore, if I'm going to keep it out on show, I need to keep the flies away. And that's what I decided to do. Now, to give you some sort of idea, look at the cherries I got. Aren't they gorgeous? I'm going to have one right now. So good. Oh, yum, indeed. And I did an incredible thing for myself. For those of you who know me, I have not been out to dinner or been out to eat, since this year, I think. And I just decided today I was going to take the car out and charge the battery. And you know what I did? I stopped in at the A&W and I picked up some poutine. And that's the first time I think I've had poutine for goodness knows how long. So I really enjoyed it. I just got to get out of my shoes. I've been on my feet a bit too long today and my feet are struggling. Okay, there we go. So I have a wonderful amount of poutine today. Oh, your throat hurts when you eat cherries. So you've got some sort of allergy to them, I would think. That's unfortunate because they're so nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put quite a lot in mason jars and seal them because they last longer that way. And the other amount, I will take the pips out and then freeze them. I love cherries and yogurt together. I don't know about anybody else, so that's really nice. First of all, I just would like to give a couple of heads up here. Number one, for those of you who don't know and weren't there at lunchtime, you need to know that Beth was hospitalized recently, but she is home, but on oxygen. And she managed to get a lung infection, but she's okay now, which is the main thing. And helps when I don't run a video at the same time as doing a broadcast. Anyway, so she managed to get a lung infection, but she is home, but on oxygen at the moment. So for those of you who can, please send her thoughts and prayers because we need that. The other thing is that Jody and Lionel have had a really tough week. Lionel did a real number on his back and his sciatic nerve is giving him so much trouble. And as you know, Lionel is Jody's lifeline. So anything wrong with Lionel has a double effect because not only does he suffer, but so does Jody. And not just emotionally, but physically. And so, from that perspective, let's give some thoughts and prayers out to Lionel and Jody. However, being Jody, that didn't stop her from putting together this week's fun facts and funnies and factoids. So thank you again, Jody, for just doing what needed to be done. And I'm hoping that you felt good doing it, because I really appreciated it. And I do want to give a heads up before we get into the fun stuff. I want to give a heads up with this all going on and with the pandemic and everything else. I would ask you all to be really, really careful of your mental health. Even I had I had a moment about a week ago where I just, wasn't doing well. And I luckily know how to get myself out of that funk. But, it's just like, don't think that you are weak or stupid or whatever. Get the help you need whenever you can. And if you can't get help, contact one of us and we'll do what we can to hold your hand. So feel free to participate in the broadcast. We're going to laugh a lot, hopefully. But on the other hand, also understand that Dear Mama Sal is a group of people. It's not just me. It's a group of people, and we get together 3 times a week. On Fridays, we do one broadcast at lunchtime where we learn something. Today it was cleaning in the kitchen, easy cleaning in the kitchen. And by the way, guys, for some reason, I managed to get lipstick on my white countertops. What do you call them? My drawers here. And I have that Mood Matcher lipstick that is pretty powerful. And I just took one look at it and went, I know how to clean that one. With the scrubbing bubbles, and it came straight off. Didn't even think about staying there. So I thought you guys would like to know I used it for a different reason. Anyway, so we do lunchtime where we learn something, and today it was how to use scrubbing bubbles in the kitchen. And then Friday evenings where we laugh, and then Sundays we do our meditation. We call it the Soul Sunday broadcast. If you have a subject about which you'd like me to speak, please let me know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com, and we'll do what we can. If I think it's something that everybody will enjoy, I will add it to the list. And for those of you who don't know, down here, please subscribe and give a thumbs up. And then the other thing I would recommend is press the bell. And when it says, do you want all the notifications? You bet you do, because if I do an extra broadcast or have reason not to be able to do a broadcast, that's where I'm going to be able to tell you. So I'm hoping that you all know that follow me on all the regular channels under Dear Mama Sal, with the exception of Instagram, which is the real Dear Mama Sal, and the fact that somebody took Dear Mama Sal before I could register it. But that's okay. We are today, excuse me. I believe the only things that everybody needs to be aware of is that Kerry's mom, I believe, had eye surgery yesterday, but I haven't heard an update on that yet. And I believe that Erin was due to go into hospital next on the 22nd, I think, 20th or 22nd. And I wonder whether she still will, because she's not very well at the moment. So let's get on to the funnies. Here we go. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity. And I'm not so sure about the universe. Did anybody meet any stupid people this week? And if so, feel free to leave a note here so that either I can do it on the live broadcast or people can chuckle on the replay. And I really want to tell you that they are still out there. Isabel saying every day. Yeah. And so I was out today buying the fruit, and sure enough, both the vendor of the fruit and the client in front of me, neither of them had masks on. And so I just chose not to get upset with it. I just chose to keep my mask on and look after my own integrity, even if they didn't care about me getting sick. Yeah, and Jodie's saying she added this particular comment because of the mask thing. It's interesting. So, yeah, and quite honestly, it is getting really weird. For those of you in the States, my heart goes out to you. I was saying to Marnie, for those of you who know Marnie, I was saying to Marnie yesterday, I'm so glad I live in Canada, where we don't see wearing a mask as an infringement of our rights. We see it as a protection of our lives. It's interesting how it is completely different mentality. But yeah, I understand that the reason that the USA is because of your individual rights and your Second Amendment and all the rest of that. I totally get that. Jodie's saying that virus stuff is all political. Yeah, can you believe it? I will not wear a mask because I live in the USA and I have my rights. That's not Jodie saying that for herself. That was the mask that, well, you see, that's the whole thing, right? And people do see it as an infringement of their liberties. Because that's been ingrained on them. And, you know, to me, that's why it's a very different mentality here in Canada. The nice part about being a pessimist, that's somebody who sees the negative of things, is that you're constantly being either proven right or pleasantly surprised. I want to tell you that my life changed completely after I stopped trying to rule it. Do any of you relate to that? For the longest time in my life, I really thought I was ruler of the universe and everybody should follow what I thought. Yeah, that took me a bit of getting over. But then I must admit, the other thing was I kept expecting people to be the same as I was. And I know that talking to Jodie, and for those of you who don't know, Jodie is our admin, you know, that Jodie's pet peeve is, why aren't people as nice as she is? You know, and it does, I just keep looking at her and saying, seriously, Jodie, you're still expecting people to act the way you do. You see, what makes Jodie so special is the way that she cares. And not everybody does. And so one of the good things is if you want to get a sense of humor, first of all, stop trying to control the world. And you want to really enjoy your life, stop expecting people to be as nice as you are. And you'll be surprised how much easier it is to go through life. All right, this is my weekly, Jodie always throws in a coffee one for coffee. Seriously, people, coffee. Why didn't I have a coffee? There's one here somewhere. Okay, look at that going. Wow. Remind me to get it once it's done. So here's the coffee one for the week. How do you feel when there is no coffee? And the answer is depresso. I think that's really cute. I can feel it. It's a lot better. Yeah, Jodie's saying she gave up being queen of the universe. Yeah, it's amazing. I had that title for so long. I'm glad somebody took it away from me because really, I'm so much happier. And then this is the next one, and it says Pilates. I thought you said pie and lattes. Yeah. Hi, Sandy. And it's like the difference between fiction and reality. Fiction has to make sense. Hi, Lauren. Good to see you. How many of you going? We got so many examples of this reality not making any sense at all at the moment, haven't we? I'm going to make my coffee now. Hold on a second. So while I'm doing that, if any of you have any news that you'd like to share, please type it up so that I can. Is it done one? Can talk about it, or if you have any news updates that you'd like me to share with the group, please let me know. And Jodie, can you just make a note to remind me to contact Kerry and find out how her mom is doing? I was going to do it between the two broadcasts, but I was, got out in the car and therefore forgot. Sorry to put my back to you people. I'll be with you in a split second. Life will be so much better when I have my coffee in front of me. Here's the knocking. Amazing it didn't ring a bell there. Here we go, there's the phone. Oh, that's so good. A bit of sprinkles. By the way, one of the things I found was that by having foam and just sprinkling a little bit of stevia on top of it, I don't need to have sugar in my, I used to have sugar in my coffee, but now I just have a little bit of sugar on top of my coffee. There we go. All right, so Isabel's saying tomorrow it will be mandatory to wear a mask in stores in Quebec. Too many people unhappy because it took long to put in place. I am happy, yes. And the worst thing is that people don't understand that I wear a mask to protect you. Yes, could you remind me to contact Kerry about her mom, who I think had eye surgery yesterday? I want to just make sure that we follow up on that. And how about this one? Wine, a constant proof that God loves us and loves to see us happy. Now, there's a question I've never thought of before. What happens at communion if you are an alcoholic? Actually, we don't do that anymore, right? Huh. Okay, so, and I'm asking that because they use blackcurrant juice. So do you sort of have to wear something to say I'm not allowed to have wine? I've never thought about that before. Why that came up today, I don't know. Maybe because wine is... there is always a non-alcoholic option. Okay, so it's good to know. I feel much better now somehow. Jody, you must have burst out laughing with this one. Right? Growing your own tomatoes, or tomatoes, depending where you live, is the best way to devote 3 months of your life to saving $2.17. Do I know that or what? But you all know how much fun we had growing Tommy the tomato. And he's still in process. He's now about this big. I'll get a picture for you and put it up on one of the vlogs so that you can see. We don't have tomatoes yet, but he's definitely looking good and healthy and strong. I've got another tiny one in my bathroom. Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy that one about the tomatoes. So it's about the experience. It really is. And I'm actually doing quite well with peppers at the moment. I'm not sure if it's yellow or red. I think it's red peppers. They're about, they should just about be trying to give fruit when the frost comes, I think. But it's a learning year. We said that, right? All right, so this is, I am not a morning person. I drink coffee because morning people exist. They keep trying to talk to me. It's so funny because it is really quite funny because I've got neighbors and they say, well, I'll pop over. And I go, not in the morning, you won't. And they go, oh, okay. I don't do mornings. That, well done, Jody. Jody's got I love this one. It says the dumbest thing I've ever purchased. was a 2020 planner. For those of you who don't know, the Friday Funnies are put together by Jodie, and she has great fun making me laugh. That's she I think she looks for these just to go, oh yeah, Sal will like that one. And I definitely like the planner one. For those of you who missed it, I got given a massive gift this week where somebody was giving away for free. I had to check that 3 times. A 5 cube by 5 cube bookcase. And I love cubes. And so, but then I had the problem of how am I going to get it? I can get it for free, but trying to get it for free was almost going to cost me more than it was worth. But it's going to arrive on Tuesday. So I had to tear apart the whole of my craft room and start again because it was like I've got to have room for. And plus, I got the big freezer came in this week, and it's big, people. Anybody has a couple of bodies you want to hide, I've got room now. Send them my way, right? Lauren's saying, if I didn't have university, I would have nothing to write in my diary. Yeah, I'm busy. About to contact my car insurance, and I bought travel insurance because I was pretty sure I was going to be traveling down to see baby Leah. Yeah, right. And it's like I spent all that money on health travel insurance to go into the States, and I tell them I need a plan because there's no way I can do it. Cats are smarter than dogs. You can't get 8 cats to pull a sled through the snow. I was watching a YouTube video somewhere. I got distracted in between the 2 broadcasts, and what they did is they put a whole barrier about 10 deep of different pens and pencils standing upright. And this family had 1 cat and about 5 dogs. And the cat took one look at all these things standing up, and it literally walked its way through all those pens and pencils standing upright without knocking one over. And they did it twice, 2 different times, just so you could be sure that it wasn't a fluke. And they did it twice. And then they called the dogs one by one. And they were such nice golden retrievers. But boy, oh boy, that was a whole different intelligence level. Right, Jodie's saying, I write my grocery lists in my planner. So at a quick glance, it looks like I have a life. Yeah, I keep, I have a neighbor that walks with me occasionally. And, I will send her a text and go, are we walking this evening? And she'll give me some reason why she can't. And I'll go, then I'll do the 5K walk on my own. Now, the 5K walk isn't a 5K walk at all. It means I'm going down to the post office and back. But she knows what it means, right? All right, so how about this? A dog teaches a boy fidelity, perseverance, and to turn around 3 times before lying down. Isn't that cute? And you all know why a dog turns around like that before it lies down, right? Anybody not know why a dog does it? While we're waiting for the answers on that one, never sing in the shower. Singing leads to dancing. Dancing leads to slipping. And slipping leads to paramedics seeing you naked. So remember, don't sing. Now, as somebody who had the paramedics find me naked because there was an emergency in my house while I was in the bathtub, and I dealt with the emergency and forgot that I was naked. Yeah, so when the paramedics arrived, it was so funny. They had dealt with my mother. And then very quietly, one of the paramedics said, you might want to get some clothes on. And I went, what? It really happened, people. No, they don't turn around like that to find out any critters. They turn around like that to flatten the grass so they can lie down. They're actually making their bed. Lauren says, my nephew broke his knee dancing in the shower. If you remember, Farmer broke his wrist by in the shower as well. So, you need to be careful in there. How about this one? Before you marry a person, you should first make them use a computer with slow internet service to see who they really are. I didn't know it, but I think 3 steps ahead when I use the computer. I think you all know from experience that I always have too many tabs open. At the moment, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 19 at the moment. And I wonder why I have connection problems. Because I actually use them. You know what I mean? I because my mind works like that. I'm going from one thing to another, and then I need to do this, and so I keep them open so I can get to the things I need. Does anybody else relate to that? I really admire people who can focus on one tab, and close it, and then open up another one. I'm not that person. So if any of you are like that, you would go insane looking at my computer screen, which many people have. Let me see what they are. One is this one. Then I've got Facebook, 2 Facebooks, because one has my real name and one is my DearMamaSal. And then I have a third one for Facebook, which is the Messenger. Then I have something, I don't know what it is. Oh, the diabetes book that Sandy recommended to us. I've got a link to that, 2 links to that. I've got an Amazon thing opened up. I've got a Twitter, Google Drive, 1, 2, 3 Google Drive, 4 Google Drive documents open. Keep, if you know Keep. Then 2 other YouTube tabs, which are, one is the ceramic pan, because I wanted to give a link to, we were discussing it again at lunchtime, how to clean a ceramic pan. One is DearMamaSal, the website, because I haven't looked at that for a long time. Then there's my shopping on Save on Foods, and then there's something else I was doing research on. So yeah, you're right. I am a research person, so I have a lot of tabs open, but I know you're also a research person, Jody, and I bet you don't have that many tabs open. But I've got a mind that does that. I know that I had an IT person sit with me one day, and he'd start to tell me what to do, and I would be 3 steps ahead already. And no games. No, I don't have any games open. I don't have time for games on a Friday. Seriously, Isabel? On a Friday, you think I got time for games? What universe do you live in? Okay, this was obviously written by a man. He said, my advice to you is get married. If you find a good wife, you'll be happy. If not, you'll become a philosopher. Love is like an hourglass, with the heart filling up as the brain empties. Yeah, that is so me. Jody, I don't know if you know that to be true, but that is so me. Anytime I fell in love, it was like my brains disappeared. It was like, if I fall in love, somebody opens the plug at the bottom of my feet and lets my brains out. You know, it's just like, did anybody else relate to that? So you need to be really happy that in the time you've known me, you know, I have not been in love, because you can imagine that would be a whole nother ball of wax. Jody says, I think we're all guilty. I don't know that to be true, Jody. That's why I ask. Now, this one is really cute. Well done, Jody. They say marriages are made in heaven, but so are thunder and lightning and tornadoes and hurricanes. Oh, I don't know who said this, but isn't this true? I've come to learn that the best time to debate family members is when they have food in their mouths. Yeah. Okay, you don't realize how much you take breathing for granted until your nose is stuffed up. Yeah, I didn't realize how much I valued breathing until I got that CPAP machine. You know, it's just like amazing. You know, to wake up and know that I actually had slept. You know, it was just like, oh, that's what it feels like. That sounds good. Now, this is definitely somebody who knows me well, because the next quote is, my brain said crunches, but my stomach auto-corrected it to cupcakes. And what I'm going to do is get all of you who are smart eaters to keep feeding us swaps that, you know, instead of eating crackers with your cheese, try, you know, whatever. And we're going to keep having a segment or two in the broadcast where we give people healthy swaps if we can. So feed them to us as best you can. I've met this person. He was so narrow. He was so narrow-minded. He could see through a keyhole with both eyes. All right, now this one is adorable in my view. Ladies, if a man says he will fix it, he will. There is absolutely no need for you to remind him every 6 months. And then, of course, after he's fixed it, you'll need to get the professionals in to refix it. But, you know. Have you noticed that even people who claim everything is predetermined and that we can do nothing to change it, they still look before they cross the road? Yeah, how many of you believe in fate? How many of you believe that your life is predestined and that you don't have any control over it? And if so, that is a very good point. If you do believe that, then you also wouldn't need to look left and right and so forth when you cross a road. I have to rethink that, because, you know, the worst thing about having lived in England and then changed is because you have to relearn everything because they drive on the other side of the road. It's very confusing. And goodness only knows when you hit a roundabout. You have to sit there for a while and watch how the traffic is moving, because otherwise you go around the roundabout the wrong way. It's very challenging, people. And what I've discovered, the way that I remember it, and I've traveled, you know, I've driven in lots of different countries, driving on right side or left side of the road. The way I remember it is my body needs to be in the middle of the road. So if you think about that, whatever I need to do, if my body is Yeah, my left shoulder is in North America, for example, my left shoulder is the center line shoulder. In England, it's my right shoulder is the center line shoulder. So that's what I have to remember. Yeah, I want to tell you, I've done it so many times, Jody, backwards and forwards in both sorts of driving, um, and it's amazing to me how easy it is to actually. It doesn't take long to remember, quite honestly. But what will happen is you will actually turn into a road, and for a split second, you're thinking, "What country am I in?" You know. So to me, it's a really important thing. Karaoke is a great equalizer. How many of you love karaoke, and how many of you wish they'd never invented it? And Jody, this one definitely has your name on it for this week, right? If stress burned calories, I'd be a supermodel. Yeah, I cannot imagine how much stress you two have been through this week. Mm. On the good news scale, I just want to let you know that Jeannie was saying they're demolishing the rest of her house this week. For those of you who don't know, her house burnt down, most of it, and now they're knocking down the walls this week. And so they will start rebuilding soon. Isn't that wonderful? Lauren's saying traveling to America and then having to drive home when we got back to Tasmania was interesting. It took us twice as long to get home because we really had to think about what we were doing. Yes, absolutely. I quite agree. And that's what you need to do. Take your time and think. How about this one? My definition of an intellectual is somebody who can listen to the William Tell Overture without thinking of the Lone Ranger. Now, for some of you going, huh? They had it as the theme song for the Lone Ranger. And who was the Lone Ranger before your time? And Tonto. Don't forget Tonto. By all means, let us be open-minded, but not so open-minded that our brains fall out. How many of you are going, there's some of that going on at the moment around the world? Well, Judy, it depends which country you're in, Jody. All right, so if I'm in North America, it's the left shoulder that is the center line. And then if you're driving in England, it's the right shoulder that's the center line. So it works well. Oh, this is one of my all-time favorite quotes by Churchill. Following an argument, an angry Lady Astor said to Churchill, oh, she actually said to him, Winston, if you were my husband, I would put poison in your coffee. And Churchill said, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. Here's the other one. Yeah, that wonderful quote with, who was it that said to Jean Harlow, didn't like Churchill either. And I think she said, you're fat. Oh, no, you're drunk. That's right. She told him he was drunk. And he said, but so are you. And then he said, the difference is when I wake up tomorrow, I will be sober. When you wake up tomorrow, you'll still be ugly. If the founding fathers had wanted us to care about the rest of the world, they wouldn't have declared their independence from it. Now, isn't that the truth? You were destined not to be part of the big wide world. And here we go. Our biblical quote was, "The lion shall lie down with the calf," but the calf won't get much sleep. You had sympathy for me this week, Jody. I can tell. Celery is 95% water and 100% not pizza. Pizza sounds so good, doesn't it? How about this one? I ate a box of Thin Mints. I didn't get any thinner. I don't think they work. Do any of you remember Polo Mints? They have a hole in the center of them, like Lifesavers do. But you know, the funny thing was, I always used to say that they're the candy with the less fattening center, you know. How about this one? A note from a student's mother. Please excuse Chris from reading because he doesn't like it. So Jody, seriously, just for a second, Jody's saying I was feeling like pizza all week. You didn't look like it though. Jody, think about this. Thin crust pizza cannot be that bad, right? I mean, if it's thick crust and big edges to it and everything, but a very thin crust pizza cannot be that bad. And then I'm thinking tomatoes can't be that bad. And then I'm thinking cheese can't be that bad. So what is it that is so bad? Think about that. And I can't take pepperoni and stuff because I'm allergic to garlic. But what is it in pizza that is the harmful bit? Is it just the crust? Exactly. Jody's saying it's not that bad. Thin crust filled with veggies is actually a complete meal. Yeah. So if you have, this is the whole thing. Don't think you can't have pizza. By the way, what happens if you make the crust out of almond flour instead of regular flour? How does that work? So sometimes we think it's bad and it really isn't. Lauren said, so it's okay that I ate a pizza last night. A piece of pizza, yeah. How big was the pizza piece? Yeah. Quite honestly, I will make myself a little baby pizza every now and then. I will take a little bit of my bread dough and I will put it in one of these, and then I'll chop it up with some tomato and cheese and cook it. And yeah, tastes great. All right, so Jody's saying the thick crust is the carb and calorie nightmare. And then add pepperoni and sausage. Oopsies. So the pepperoni and sausage are not good, but if you add tomatoes and cheese, not altogether bad, right? Now, I'm not sure if everybody will see the humor of this, so just get yourself under control for a second, because this is not inappropriate if you hear it in the right tone. WebMD is updating its server because of a virus. Well, they think it was a virus, but it could also have been malaria, kidney failure, a heart murmur, gallstones, or possibly appendicitis. And the fact that we've got pandemic problems, we will just ignore that for the moment. We are still waiting for the study that will finally reveal that gobs of butter are good for you. Now then, this is an interesting thing. How many of you remember when we were told how bad butter was for you? And then found out later that it was paid for, that whole research was paid for by the people who made margarine, and it was just like, yeah, really. And now, if you think about it, we're back to, it's like anything. A little butter is not bad for you. Everything with globs of butter on it is not good for you, obviously. All right, so Sandy is saying, I eat thin crust pizza with the family sometimes, and it's the food that keeps on giving, right? And how many of you can relate to this one? You never realize how long 1 second actually really is until you stare at the countdown of an ad you can't skip. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I can, yet Lauren totally agrees, right? I now have learned to multitask while my computer thinks. It's really funny, I guess because it's got 19 tabs open, it takes so long to think. But, there are times when I just go, I can basically write a quick book while I'm waiting for my computer to think sometimes. And, literally on a Friday, I close it down and open it back up again because if I don't, we might not get a broadcast out of it. How many of you agree that instant gratification takes too long? I keep thinking of how difficult all this lockdown and everything must be on the teenagers of today. Have any of you got teenagers in your family, and how are they coping with it all? Because their whole life revolves around being with their friends, and that's their entertainment. So how are they coping? This is a cute one. Sometimes you might feel like there's no one there for you, but you know who is always there for you? Laundry. Laundry will always be there for you. You heard that Yvonne came to visit me this week. when when she saw my washing machine, I said, I just need to know. We had a really big washing machine at the old house, right? And she said, yep. And by the way, Yvonne was my tenant for 20 years at the old house. I said, it really was a big washing machine, wasn't it? And she said, yes. I said, what do you think of this one? And she said, I've never seen a washing machine that big. I said, neither have I. It's insane. I said, to get up and into it, to get stuff out of it, is major exercise for me. And talking about that, I haven't seen Kim this week or last week, I think. Has anybody heard from her? Oh, Jody, you definitely were on an intellectual bent this week. Whoever established the high road and how high it should be fired. That is so cute. Okay, how do you like this one? So apparently, RSVPing back to a wedding invite with maybe next time isn't the correct response. Mm. Do you know, it's such a sad thing. 3 people I know, are giving birth, either have given birth or are giving birth this year. And I keep thinking they missed out on baby showers and they missed out on everybody coming to visit and all those things. I think that's quite sad. By the way, Lauren's going, not only is laundry there for you all the time, but so are the dishes. Good one, Lauren. Judy's diet tip for the week. If you think you're hungry, you might just be thirsty. So have a bottle of wine first and then see how you feel. And here is our pandemic joke of the week. Just asked a 6-year-old if he understood why there was no school at the moment. And he said yes, because there isn't any toilet paper. And Jackie Gleason, the well-known comic, said, the second day of a diet is always easier than the first. By the second day, you're off it already. And Mark Twain said, never put off until tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow. How many of you live by that maxim? I do. It's like, really, there's so many things that we beat up on ourselves because we haven't done it. I've just been through my, part of my planner. You remember that word? Yeah, the one we didn't need in 2020. But literally, there was stuff from April that I haven't done anything with. And, we're now in July. But I forgive myself and I move on. I just moved it through to next week. And then probably 6 months later, I'll see it again. This was very important information. Are you ready? A website said, we use cookies to improve our performance. And I said, me too. Which is why I'm a beast, right? Relationships are like a walk in the park. Jurassic Park. Mine. How about this one? Once you can accept the universe as matter expanding into nothing that is something, wearing stripes with plaid comes easily. And that was from Albert Einstein. If there was anybody that could wear stripes and plaid at the same time, it would be Einstein. Yeah. People need to understand the difference between wants and needs. Like, for example, I want abs, but I need chocolate. I have a secret stash of chocolate in my house. Do any of you? I don't actually bring it out very often. Oh, it must be in the lower level because it's more difficult to get it. But I have chocolate in my house. And by the way, I have white chocolate in my house as well. Luckily, most of the time I clean forget about it. But every now and then when I really want chocolate, I go, I've got chocolate. And I will literally cut myself a couple of bits, enjoy it, and then forget about it for another month. I recommend getting chocolate that way. Always be prepared. Exactly. No, but I really have to say that, Jody, that I find it interesting because it's there the whole time, but I very rarely go for it. But if every now and then I get a real need for chocolate, and I will either grate some over the top of something, like, I'll make some yogurt or something, and I will grate some chocolate over the top. Or I will just literally take a carving knife and cut a couple of chunks off and thoroughly enjoy it, which is why I'm a beast. Who said this? I can't quite read this. Never mind. He said, I often wanted to drown my troubles, but I can't get my wife to go swimming. Sounds like a joke from the 50s. This is definitely my world. It's amazing how the world begins to change through the eyes of a cup of coffee. I warned Jody, our admin, very early on, if ever you want to talk anything intelligent to me, please wait until I've had my second cup of coffee. My first one has the job of trying to get my 2 brain cells working. The second cup actually gets them firing. And once they're firing, I can take information. But before then, I haven't got much hope at all. Wonder if anybody else relates to that. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and then find someone whose life has given them vodka and have a party. It's so cute. Oh. Okay, so now Jody's giving me hang on a second. I've got to do something technical here. Hang on one second. I'll be with you in a second. There we go. Yeah, Jody's the same, right? She has to have her coffee before she can think. It's amazing. All right, so Jody found us some factoids that she thought you'd enjoy. Did you know that a study from Harvard University found that having no friends can be just as deadly as smoking? Both affect levels of the blood clotting protein. Really? And did you know that adult cats only meow at humans, not at other cats? Kittens meow to their mother, but once they get a little older, cats no longer meow to other cats. I did not know that. How about this? Roselle, a guide dog, led her blind owner down 78 flights of stairs. The descent took about an hour, and they both safely made it out. Isn't that beautiful? There have been so many incredible stories about guide dogs. And, Jody, I think that's a really nice subject for us one day. Those sort of amazing facts about animals who have saved humans in different ways. The same brain cycles that occur when we sleep still happen when you're awake, but in smaller sections. Meaning parts of your brain are always falling asleep. How many of you going, I relate to that? Lauren saying that factoid about cats not meowing to other cats. She says her cat meows at other cats. Really? That's interesting. And Tupac Shakur was the first US artist to have an album reach the Billboard #1 while he was still in prison. And the album was entitled Me Against the World. Yeah. Wasn't that pretty awesome? All right, so how about this one? The German Autobahn has no speed limit because Western Germany saw them as a Nazi relic, speed limits, right? This became effective in 1972. I have driven on the German Autobahn. Have any of you done that? I want to tell you, it's really scary. There is two speeds, top speed and stop. And it's just like, it is insane on the German Autobahn. It is so fast. And, you can afford to buy a high performance car because you can actually high perform. If you know what I mean, it's worth spending the money to get a high performance car because you can at least go. You don't have to worry about going over the speed limit and getting caught. It means you get to enjoy it. And I did have the joy of driving in a high performance car on an Autobahn, and it was just like, okay. Yeah, Jody said if she was on the Autobahn, she would have panic attacks and lose the two marbles. Yeah, absolutely. I quite agree. Now, did you know that the opossum is the only primate? Sorry, it says only primates, humans, and opossums have opposable thumbs, but out of these, the opossum is the only one with no thumbnail. I didn't know that. So how is this for weird? What does bi-weekly mean? Does it mean twice in a week or every other week? Right? And the answer is both. Bi-weekly can mean either of those. So whenever somebody says to you, you're going to be paying bi-weekly, go, which one? Twice a week or once every other week? In England, we actually had a word for every other week. It was called fortnight. But for some reason, you don't use that here in North America or Canada. I think fortnight was a much clearer definition of every other week. Yeah. So, once a fortnight meant every 2 weeks. Did you know that chewing gum boosts mental proficiency? Okay, get the chewing gum out, people. And is considered a better test aid than caffeine. But nobody knows why. Interesting. Huh. Although there is currently no drug proven to make somebody tell the truth, some countries like Russia, Canada, and India use truth serums. I didn't know that. Well, I knew that. I thought there was a drug that made people tell the truth, didn't you? I mean, how many war movies did we see where they injected them with the truth serum? Come on now, people. We've seen those movies. Now, this one is number 13 to start with. So let me let me just make sure you all know it's number 13. And then I would have to talk to somebody to verify this one. If you point your car keys to your head, it increases the remote signal range. This works by using your brain to act as a radio transmitter. How many of you going, do I want to be pointing that at my head? All right, there are a couple in here that are questionable, but anyway, Santa Claus apparently was issued a pilot's license from the US government in 1927. They also gave him runway maps, airway maps, and promised to keep the runway lights open. Isn't that cute? So did you know that Motel 6 and the Super 8 get their names from the original price of the rooms? Motel 6 started at $6 a night in 1962, and the Super 8 was $8.88 in 1974. How many of you are going, yeah, right, $6 for a room? And did you know that The Hobbit has been published in 2 different editions? In the first edition, Gollum willingly bet his ring in the riddle game. I didn't know that either. When you exercise, the burned fat metabolizes to become carbon dioxide, water, and energy, meaning yeah, you exhale the fat that you lose. When you exercise, the burned fat metabolizes to become carbon dioxide, water, and energy, meaning, that you are puffing out. Interesting. You're burned fat. How many of you going? Really? Berries are simple fruits stemming from one flower. This means that pineapples, bananas, watermelon, and pumpkins and avocados are berries. I think I need to read that again. Berries are simple fruits stemming from one flower. This means that pineapple, bananas, watermelon, pumpkins, and avocados are berries. Boy, that's something you could make money on, right? How many people would think an avocado was a berry? In South Dakota, you can get a driving permit at the age of 14 with parental consent. Once you turn 16, you can get your license. Now, I think that is true of a lot of wide open space type counties, right? Oh, interesting. Jody is just saying that car remote story is confirmed by 2 different sources. Okay, Jody, thank you. I'm still not going to point it at my head. It's just like, yeah, really. So how many of you grew up in the big wide wonder, and were driving cars probably from the age of 12 onwards, right? Because, you were on a farmland and, you learned to drive a car on the farm. And so that's why, when you got those big rural areas, they're inclined to give licenses to younger ages, because most of them have been driving tractors and other cars and so forth over the land for quite a while. I've never seen a survey done, are they better drivers because of it? Did you know that birds are the closest living relatives to crocodilians, as well as descendants of extinct dinosaurs with feathers? This makes them, in fact, the only living dinosaurs. Wow. How about this one? The world's first motel was in San Luis Obispo, and it was built in 1925. When it opened, it cost $1.25 for a 2-room bungalow with a kitchen and a private adjoining garage. $1.25. Just imagine. Jack Daniel, the founder of the whiskey, died from kicking a safe. When he kicked it, he broke a toe, which got infected, and he eventually died from blood poisoning. How about that? Wow. How about this one? Owners of personalized license plates in Uganda are facing a tax increase of over 300%, which will raise the tax from 1,400, in fact, $1,500 to 6,000 if you want a personalized plate. The Black Death was the bubonic plague, right? The Black Death killed so many people in the 14th century that the world population did not recover to pre-plague levels until the 17th century. No, wait a minute. Was the Black Death the bubonic plague? Or did that come later? Does anybody know? Interesting. I'd have to look that up. Did you know that the word IKEA comes from an acronym which stands for Ingvar Kamprad, who is the owner or the founder, and then the place where he lived, no, the farm where he lived, and his hometown. So IKEA were the initials of all those things, which I think is really cute. And did you know that Scotland was one of the few countries that was able to hold off being conquered by the Romans in the 1st century AD? Okay, thank you, Jody. Jody is so good at doing this, right? So she confirms that the Black Death was the bubonic plague. Yep. Now, I don't know if anybody else read it, but I believe that a bat has tested positive for the bubonic plague in Colorado. Did anybody else see that? Like, we haven't got enough problems, right? Do you know that Hanna-Barbera pitched the Flintstones to networks for 8 weeks before it was finally picked up? It became the first ever animated show to air during prime time. And how many of you will just always remember the Flintstones because it was so great at the time? Did you know that there are 10,000 underground nuclear bunkers in Beijing? And they were built during the Cold War. They were later sold as real estate and are currently inhabited by over 1 million people. Wow. Researchers have found that flossing your teeth can help with your memory. That would explain a lot. Okay, flossing prevents gum disease, which prevents stiff blood vessels, which causes memory issues. How about that? Oh, sorry, it was a squirrel, not a bat. Okay, thank you, Jody. Jody's just correcting me. It was a squirrel that tested positive for the bubonic plague. Yep. Amazing. Normally it's a bat, right? But this time it was a squirrel. So who knows? Wow, I didn't know this. Did you know that a bolt of lightning can reach 53,540 degrees Fahrenheit? That's pretty warm, people. That's 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun, which is a mere 10,340 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep away from those lightning bolts, right? Samsung means 3 stars in Korean. It was chosen by the founder because he wanted the company to be powerful and everlasting, like the stars in the sky. How about the red Solo cups, a common souvenir to bring back from the United States? The novelty comes from the cups being used at many parties scenes in movies. Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Did you know that employees at Miller Coors get 3 free cases of beer each month, in addition to having access to beer and cider on location after the workday? Some of you going, good place to work. And the highest recorded fall without a parachute happened in 1972 at 33,333 feet. And the victim, Vesna Volovic, was in hospital for 16 months after the fall, but he lived, right? Amazing. 33,000 feet. That's like out of an airplane. The most expensive virtual object is in Club Never Die in the Entropia universe, which is worth $635,000. It was originally bought for $10,000. I don't even know what the Entropia universe is. I'm obviously way behind on something. Sounds like Bitcoin with bells on. In New Delhi, if a tree falls sick, an ambulance is dispatched to treat them. This came into effect in 2009. It takes 4 people to do the job. If a tree falls sick, they send an ambulance. Amazing. All right, from 1953 until 19... There's something wrong with this. Listen, it says from 1953 to 1937. Maybe it's meant to be the other way around. 87, I would think. Anyway, NBC's Today Show had a chimpanzee co-host named J. Fred Muggs. It estimated that he brought in the network about $100 million. Yeah, so... Wow. Dwayne Johnson, that's The Rock, right? Dwayne Johnson set a new Guinness World Record for the most selfies taken in 3 minutes when he took 105 selfies with fans at his movie premiere for San Andreas. That's a lot of selfies. Ah. Ben & Jerry's has an online flavor graveyard for their 10 discontinued ice cream flavors. Each has a photo, a lifespan, and an epitaph. Isn't that the cutest thing? By the way, one of the things that I ordered, my grocery order this week was ice cream. I've got a freezer, a big freezer. Actually, I lie. I bought chocolate-covered ice creams. Jody's saying, I've met Dwayne. He was lovely to chat with at a wrestling event in Boston. Yeah, I get a sense that he probably is quite a decent human being. But you know, what? I wonder how much work he has to do to keep his physique like that. Yeah, it reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, when you've built your reputation on your strength and your muscle, you know, you really have to keep that going. I suppose if you've built your reputation on your beauty, you know, you also have to work hard with it, right? In the Netherlands version of Sesame Street, instead of Big Bird, they have a bird named Pino. He was later established to be Big Bird's cousin. Isn't that cute? How about that? Did you know that the number of stars in the European Union flag doesn't represent anything? 12 stars were chosen just as a number with no political association for that symbol or of unity. You know, it has no meaning whatsoever. And just let's have 12 stars on that flag. Right. So Jody's saying, Sandy, he took time to greet every fan. A lovely person. Yes. I think, you know, you've heard me say, Jody, that, you know, when I was doing big events, I would always stand outside the door and greet people before they knew who I was. You know why? Because I knew that at the end of my speaking, they'd be able to say, and I said hello to her. You know, I know how important that is. Did you know that Russia has the most man-made satellites in orbit? They have 1,324 going around. And you know, there are 2,271 in total. And the US only has 658. Isn't that weird? Now, I'm pretty certain that you guys have worked this one out already, but movie theaters make roughly 85% of their profit from the concession stands, not from the movie. Okay? And that would be because the ticket revenues have to be shared with the movie distributors. Did you know that pit bulls rank among the most affectionate and least aggressive dogs? Pit bulls are only aggressive when they are forcibly trained as such. Interesting. I know that's a difficult subject for Jody. Did you know that the full Bible has been translated to over 3,000 languages? Among them being fictional languages, like Elvish. I didn't know there was such a thing as Elvish. Klingon and Navi. That's amazing. And did you know the New York Police Department had a police officer follow Andre the Great, for those of you who remember him, Andre the Great, the Giant, sorry. They followed Andre the Giant whenever he went out drinking. And that was in case he got drunk and fell on somebody. You know, I can't remember how tall he was, but he was amazing. And if you saw The Princess Bride, right, you will remember him. I didn't know this. The sixth largest pyramid in the world is in the Bass Pro Shops in Memphis, in the Memphis Pyramid. At 32 stories tall, it also has the tallest freestanding elevator in the US. Amazing the things you learn here. He was 7'4". You know, it's interesting. I was going to say, I have a feeling he was 7 foot. Yeah, 529 pounds. Wow. But quite honestly, Jody, if he fell on somebody, it would be a bit late, wouldn't it? Did you know that Italy built an entire courthouse just to prosecute the mafia? They charged 474 members in a trial that lasted from 1986 to 1992. And to date, it's the biggest trial ever held in the world. And Mount Rushmore cost less than $1 million to construct. It took 14 years to build from 1927 to 1941, and it took 400 workers to do it. You know, I keep thinking you wouldn't want to make a mistake there and accidentally knock a nose off or something, right? You know, it's just like, you imagine chiseling away on Mount Rushmore. Did you know that Julius Caesar's only son, Caesarion, was the last pharaoh of Egypt? Even though Cleopatra swears he is Caesar's son, Caesar never officially acknowledged him. Isn't that interesting? Hi, Anna Marie. All right, so Julius Caesar had a son. I definitely didn't know that. Batman and the Predator exist in the same fictional universe. Since 1991, they have been featured together in 3 comic books. And then, did you know that Q-tips were invented in 1923, and they were originally called baby gays? The Q-tip baby gays, and finally just Q-tips. And the Q stands for quality. And did you know that in 1998, David Bowie released an internet provider called BowieNet? I didn't know that. Subscribers were offered exclusive content and a BowieNet email. It was shut down in 2006. How about that? Now, this one I definitely know from my watch, but standing around burns calories. On average, a 150-pound person burns 114 calories per hour while standing and doing nothing. I'm amazed when I get up in the morning how many steps I have done on my watch. And I'm going, I've been asleep, people. But I guess when you're restless, it shows up on your watch. How about this? There exists a plankton, Dinoflagellatus, which, if consumed, reverses your feeling of hot and cold, as well as hallucinations. Symptoms can last from weeks to years. Can you imagine feeling cold when you should be feeling hot and feeling hot when you, ooh, no. How about this? Snoop Dogg's real name is Cordoza Calvin Brodus Jr. His Snoop Dogg nickname came from his mother, who thought he looked like Snoopy from Peanuts. There is a town in Nebraska called Monowi with a population of just one. The only resident is a woman who is the mayor, the bartender, and the librarian. And talking about women of power, which she definitely is, I'm thoughts and prayers go out to Ruth Ginsburg. I'm so sorry to hear that she ended up in hospital again this week. New Jersey had 4 governors in the span of 8 days in the early 2002. The shortest term of those was served by John Farmer Jr. for just 90 minutes. New Jersey had 4 governors in the span of 8 days. Why? You know, that begs the question, why? That seems insane, doesn't it? And one of them only lasted 90 minutes. This is like Scaramucci or whatever, you know, at the White House, 11 days gone. And did you know that Ron Swanson's character in Parks and Recreation was based on a real person, a woman who works in a high bureaucratic position who is also anti-government? And did you know, and I think some of you did know this one, that in 18th century England, having a pineapple was a symbol of wealth because of high import fees. They would be used as displays instead of being eaten. I did know that, yeah. Wow, a man with severe OCD and a phobia of germs attempted to commit suicide with a gun to his head. And instead of killing him, the bullet eliminated his mental illness without any other damage. Got rid of his OCD. Like, other than that, he was fine. Yeah, really, is that a miracle or what? Did you know that the largest stadium in the world is in Rangado? Um, first, the 1st of May Stadium in North Korea. It can hold 114,000 spectators, and it covers 51 acres and is 197 feet tall. I did not know that the biggest stadium was in North Korea. Wow. Now, this one also is weird. The United States Department of Agriculture says the official definition of a sandwich is at least 35% cooked meat and no more than 50% bread. What about cheese and cucumber? Did they never hear of that? All right, so Jodie's saying this is the New York governor thing, New Jersey governor thing. She said the acting governor's term was nearly over. This succeed, then the acting governor before the governor-elect becomes governor. So you had the acting governor's term was nearly over. Then you had the person due to succeed the acting governor before the governor-elect became, oh gosh, yes, really. So clear as mud, yeah, really. I'm sorry I asked. Now, this is interesting to me. Did you know that sunflowers can help clean radioactive soil? Japan is using this to rehabilitate Fukushima. Almost 10,000 packets of sunflower seeds have been sold to people of the city. Isn't that interesting? Now, this one is interesting. The entire world population could fit in Texas if we allotted 330 square feet per person. Do we care about that? Wow, Scotland wanted to replicate the Parthenon, bigger and cheaper, in 1826. It was never completed, and now it's nicknamed Scotland's disgrace. And in 1831, London Bridge was sold, and in 1962, when it needed to be replaced, it was bought by Lake Havasu City in Arizona to help tourism. The 1831 London Bridge was sold in I remember that, 1962. I wonder if it's still standing. Okay, Jody, don't worry about that. So let's go back to this thing. Jody's saying 2 other acting governors succeed the acting governor before the governor-elect. Okay, that's just way too much. Oh, Lauren's onto it as well. Listen to this. Because of the 8-day gap between the seating of a new state legislature and the inauguration of the governor-elect Jim McGreevey, 4 men held the position of acting governor. Outgoing Senate President Donald DeFresco continues to serve until 12 o'clock noon on January the 8th, 2002, until the new Senate was convened. Wow, good work, Lauren. Thank you. I'm still not quite sure whether everybody understood it, but thank you for all the hard work. Did you know that by applying an even pressure on an egg, it is nearly impossible to break the shell by squeezing it? Right? You can break the shell by hitting it, but if you have equal pressure on it, it is almost impossible to break it. And I know you're not going to believe this, but do you know that yours truly once was at a mechanical handling exhibition, and I was at the controls of a front-end loader, one of those things, big Pockland front-end loader, and my crowd-pleasing trick was to pick up eggs with a front-end loader, with the grab arm. Yeah. And in fact, it was such a good trick. It's amazing how many people stopped to watch me do it. So since the death penalty was restored in 1976, the states of Washington and New Hampshire have returned to hanging as an available method of execution. I didn't know that. Jody, did you? I didn't know New Hampshire had reinstated the death penalty. And Washington. I'd be interested to hear, did I not know that there were 2 states that reinstated it? Because I don't know everything, obviously. And now, I think we've discussed this once before, but it's worth reminding people, selfies now cause more deaths than shark attacks. It is estimated there are 28 selfie-related deaths every year, with the leading cause being heights. People doing stupid things at heights to take a selfie. English accounts for 50% of the visited websites, even though the amount of English users is only 26%. Russian accounts for the second most visited pages at only 6%. Now, this definitely was a factoid that Benji gave us when the pandemic started. Honey and the items immersed in honey can be preserved for centuries. Now, did you all know that? The long shelf life is due to the enzyme found in the stomachs of bees. So if you're going, if I could only keep one condiment, if you like, be it, do I choose between jam and honey? Choose honey. Honey will last almost indefinitely. Centuries. It's going to last a lot longer than you are. Oh, Sharon said, I'm sorry I'm late. I started reading and lost track of time. What were you reading that was so absorbing, Sharon? And thank you for remembering us. Did you know that there are more people in the UK than in Canada, Australia, Norway, and Iceland combined? The UK population is over 65 million. And in 1937, a major fire broke out in the Fox Film Studios in New Jersey. The fire destroyed 75% of their movies, including most of their silent films. Isn't that sad? And did you know that 4 Nile crocodiles have been found in Florida? They are the second largest crocodile and more dangerous than the native crocodiles and alligators in Florida. Now, the question is, how did the Nile crocodiles get to Florida? And did you know that Larry the Cable Guy's real name was Daniel Lawrence Whitney? His notable Southern accent is fake. He was born and raised in Midwest, not in the South. And when Jay-Z was 12, did you know that he shot his older brother in the shoulder for stealing jewelry? He later referenced that in a song entitled You Must Love Me. And the motto on the United Kingdom's Royal Coat of Arms is in French. And the motto is de mon droit, which is God and my right. Yes. Bookworms are actually insects that bore holes into books. A major book-feeding insect is a paper louse, which feeds on microscopic mold in poorly kept books. Yeah, I have met those things. And did you know that bees actually have knees? I know, really. The expression bees' knees, right, comes from the fact that they store large buildups of pollen in hairy baskets on their knees. Anna Marie, always good to see you. So the New Jersey governor fiasco was due to the governor Christie Whitman resigned to join the Bush administration. And New Jersey didn't have a lieutenant governor or lieutenant governor in the States. Okay, interesting. So it was really a dog's breakfast and they had people standing in for people. Yeah, got it. Thank you. So Jody, thank you. We've all learned something today. And did you know that octopuses and squids have beaks? I didn't know that. The beak is made of keratin, the same material that as a bird's beak, and our fingernails are also made of that. And did you know that if you only ate rabbit meat, you would die from protein poisoning? This would be a mixture of too much protein and the absence of fat in a diet. And did you know, I didn't, that Madagascar got its name when Marco Polo misspelt it? The name stuck, and the island was christened the name in 1500. I wonder what the right thing was. And Garrett McNamara holds the record for the largest wave ever surfed, and it was set in 2011 in Nazaré in Portugal. The wave was 78 feet tall. Oh. Yeah, so Jody's saying, I didn't know that bees have knees, and she got a little icon there. I say it all the time, the bee's knees. Yeah, exactly. Imagine a 78-foot high wave. I don't know, I'd be praying a lot. Yeah. Did you know that about 15% of active Twitter accounts are actually social bots? They're not real people at all. This means that there are nearly 48 million accounts that are not controlled by humans on Twitter. I'm not going to go to the obvious comment there. Do you know that Animal Planet aired 2 fake documentaries that prove that mermaids actually exist? So many people thought it was real that the US government issued an official statement about it. And that Qantas Airways once powered an interstate flight on cooking oil. This marked Australia's first commercial flight using substantially derived biofuel. And polar bears often hunt walruses by simply charging at a group of them and eating the ones that were crushed or wounded in their mass panic to escape. Direct attacks are rare. And the Japanese term for a shotgun wedding, I'm not going to try and say it, but it looks like it's sort of like Kichatekekon, and I'm sorry I don't speak Japanese, which literally translates to, oops, we did it, marriage. And did you know that in Mississippi it is considered a federal offense to dine and dash on a check that is over $25? In California, it is only petty theft. How about this one? The Buddha commonly depicted in statues and pictures is a totally different person. The real Buddha was actually incredibly skinny because of self-deprivation. That's true, isn't it? Yeah, we always see him as a rotund, chubby figure, and in fact, he wasn't at all. Because snow is composed of ice, it can be classified as a mineral. Water, however, does not fall under the same classification, and it is not a mineral. And Lake Superior contains 10% of the world's fresh water. It is the size of South Carolina and contains 2,900 cubic miles of water. Wow, that's a lot of water, isn't it? And did you know that even though smoking has been banned on airplanes, ashtrays are still mandatory on every plane? You're going, why, if you're not allowed to smoke? Well, the answer is it is for the safe disposal of a cigarette in case somebody breaks the law. That is an interesting factoid. Did you know you can now get a headstone with a QR code? They're called living headstones. They show pages with photos and biographies and comments from loved ones. Isn't that clever? And when Pink Floyd designed the Animals album cover, the inflatable pig tied to the power station broke free, causing Heathrow Airport to have to cancel all their flights. Both the US and Soviet militaries have trained dolphins. They can be used for rescuing lost naval swimmers and locating underwater mines. Did you know that MIT, often cited as one of the world's most prestigious universities, puts almost all of its course material online for free for anyone to access for free? Now, let me say that again, and please can we remember to let the Asher know. MIT puts almost all of its course materials online for anyone to access for free. I did not know that. And did you know that while hunting, stoats, that's a bit like a ferret, right? Stoats go crazy, jumping and spinning and twisting to get the rabbit's attention. This hypnotizes the rabbit until the stoat gets close enough to attack. And did you know that there's very little evidence that the TSA has ever stopped a terrorist or found a real bomb? When tested, they failed to find fake weapons and bombs 95% of the time. Ooh. And roughly 33% of cats are not affected by catnip. The euphoric reaction commonly associated with catnip is hereditary. And did you know that in 1325, two Italian city-states fought over a bucket, which resulted in 2,000 deaths? It started when two soldiers stole a bucket from a well from the city center. I guess people got a little heated. Hello, I stole a bucket and caused 2,000 deaths. That's pretty good going, isn't it? And did you know that 4 of the top 7 highest grossing films of all time were released in 2015? They were The Avengers Age of Ultron, The Furious 7, Jurassic World, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. And if electors of the Holy Roman Emperor did not vote within 30 days, they were only allowed to eat bread and water, and they were forbidden to leave the city. Imagine if you didn't vote. Okay, Daniel Craig was an anonymous stormtrooper in Star Wars. Did you know that? The Force Awakens. Originally, he denied his cameo and claimed he wouldn't bother being an extra in a movie. But apparently they're saying he was. And one horse can have approximately 15 horsepower, right? So that's interesting. A horsepower is about 746 watts. The term was coined in the 18th century. And did you know that this is a Canadian law thing? Canadian law requires citizens to answer a math question when entering sweepstakes. Did you guys know that? You have to do a simple thing. It like says 8 minus 2 divided by, there's one of those sort of things. And the reason is it's done to add some aspect of skill to the contest. I've actually entered into a sweepstake and had to do that. I always wondered what happens if you get the math wrong. And in the 1980s, the founder of Pringles, Frederick Bauer, requested to be buried in a Pringles can, and his children honored the request. And Werner's Ginger Ale is the oldest soda still being sold. It was created by a Detroit pharmacist, James Werner, in 1866. I've never tasted Werner's Ginger Ale, but I like ginger ale. Did you know that the only window that opens on a presidential car is the driver's window to pay tolls? It has no keyholes, and only the Secret Service know how to open the doors. I didn't know that. And that Ziggy Marley, Bob Marley's son, wrote the theme song for the popular children's cartoon Arthur, and he wrote it when he was 26. And some of you probably know this, that cold showers have more health benefits than hot or warm showers. These include improving your circulation, stimulating weight loss, and easing depression. And by the way, I found out just by personal experience and living in very hot climates, one of the best things to do is to get into a shower at the temperature that you normally would, and then systematically just turn it down a little bit. And you will be surprised, by doing it that way, you can get the temperature down to almost cold water. Not here for me, because, the cold water here comes out of an artesian well, but it's very cold. But, it's amazing. If like this evening, it is very hot where I am. And so if I want to cool down, which I will do after the broadcast, I will actually go get in the shower, and I will start at the normal temperature and then systematically bring the temperature down until it lowers my blood temperature. And Lauren says, I'm going to stick to warm showers. Thank you very much indeed. Did you know that Elvis was originally blonde? And he started dyeing his hair black for an edgier look. Sometimes he would touch it up himself using shoe polish. I did not know that. Bubble wrap was originally invented to be wallpaper. The creators tried to make plastic wallpaper with a paper backing, but it came out with a plastic backing. How about that? All of the sweaters that Mr. Rogers wore on his show were hand knitted by his mother. He said he loved wearing them because they always made him think of her. I didn't know that either. Good stuff, Jody. And did you know that over 290 people have died climbing Mount Everest since 1922? Most deaths occur because of avalanches, and not all of the bodies have been recovered. And the original Star-Spangled Banner was sewn on the floor of a brewery in Baltimore in 1813 by Mary Pickersgill and her daughter. Wow. And did you know that all the paint on the Eiffel Tower weighs the same as 10 elephants. It gets repainted every 7 years without closing to the public. That's an incredible feat. Every 7 years, they totally repaint it. And that's probably why it's lasted so long, all right? I mean, just amazing how long it has stayed standing. And did you know that the youngest pope in history was Pope Benedict IX, who was just 11 years old at the time of his election? He is also the only person to have been the pope more than once. I did not know that. And did you know how much Paul McCartney was paid for performing at the 2012 London Olympics closing ceremonies? He got paid £1, British pound. He willingly donated his performance. That makes me want to cry. And you know, for nearly 60 years, Texas did not have an official state flag between 1879 and 1933. And during that time, the Lone Star flag was the active but unofficial flag. And did you know, although most people think it's Italian, that pepperoni is an American invention? It was the first use of the word dates back to 1919. And it is estimated that 50% of the gold ever mined on the earth came from the single plateau in South Africa, the Witwatersrand. Now, I've been on the Witwatersrand, so I know all about that. And by the way, I can remember when the gold prices, this is really difficult to understand for some people, but you know, when they dig a gold mine, they dig a lot of sand out, and it is not worth their time to get all the gold out of the sand. And the interesting thing is when the gold prices go high enough, they will go back to those sand dunes that they have created and start filtering the gold out of that sand. Does that make sense to everybody? And so I can remember during the time that I was in South Africa, the gold price went very high. And that allowed them the ability and the time to be able to start going through that sand. And I think they did it magnetically or whatever. I'm not 100% sure how they did it, but they literally filtered the small specks of gold out of the sand dunes. It was amazing. Well, it's about time for us to go. And Jody, thank you so much for this incredible information. I sort of like the factoids as much as the funnies, as you probably realize. I enjoy learning things. So what has been of interest to you? Let us know, and leave a comment below if you want to. But for those of you who are in the room right now, what was it that you went, oh boy, I didn't know that? Other than the bees having knees. It's like, bees have knees. They hide their honey there. Pretty interesting. So thank you all for your time and effort, and particularly thank Jody. All right, so Isabel says, I really enjoy the laughing part and the learning quotes. Some I could not understand. Yeah, okay, you want to know something, Isabel? I couldn't understand some of them either, but you know, we keep trying, right? I keep hoping that if I read it twice, maybe it'll make more sense. Not always is that true. So, everybody, yes, the New Jersey thing, you know, that got very complicated, didn't it? But thank you all for contributing. So what happened was, if I got this right, there was a governor about to go, and then there was an acting governor that would eventually fill that position. But in between those two, they had to have two others to fill in the gap until this guy could take the part. And you know, that I think is amazing. We'll all be Googling that one and reading it very slowly. Yeah, the bees were definitely a favorite, I must say. So Jody, a big thank you. And again, just a word of reality to all of you. Jody has had a week from, HE double hockey sticks. She really has had a tough week. And yet, if you can imagine that even with all that going on in her life, she still put together all this broadcast. And, I don't get in her way because I know Jody well enough that if she doesn't want to do it, she'll let me know. It's not that she has to do it. It's because she finds value and serenity in actually creating the broadcast. And Jody, I hope I've got this right. And so you understand, Jody sees creating this broadcast as a Zen thing for her. It makes her laugh. It makes her forget all the stuff that's going on for her. And there's a lesson to be learned there. She says, I enjoy it immensely. And, we enjoy it immensely as well, Jody, and we really do want to thank you. And the fact that you just keep doing it when your life is going in so many different directions. And by the way, for those of you who know Jody and Lionel, they really could do with your thoughts and prayers and anything else, quite honestly. They're in a very tough situation at the moment. And so, but they will continue to do the best they can every day. And, one of the things that I love about doing DearMamaSal, the incredible people, I think about Jody and Lionel, I think about Anna Marie, I think about Sandy, I think about Jeannie and York. We've got these so many incredible stories of people who just do the best they can. And Jody's saying, thank you all for the support. We are grateful. Yes, you are grateful. And it is our pleasure because you are forever supporting all of us, Jody. So we send you lots of love and a big hug. And just keep doing the best you can. It will be enough. I really honestly believe that. So everybody have a super weekend. I will see you on Sunday. This is DearMamaSal saying, please continue to help one another, but most of all, please remember to look after yourself, because if you don't, maybe nobody else is going to. This is DearMamaSal saying, oh, hang on a second. Oh, okay. So Jody's just put up a note, says, thank you, Sal. Thank you, everybody, for being here and participating. Please hit the thumbs up button as you exit the broadcast today. It's a pleasure to have your company. Take care. Jody always does a great job of those little things, doesn't she? This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here, everybody. Keep smiling if you can. And by the way, if you can't find a reason to smile, and then, just put some quotes together and you'll be amazed you automatically do start to smile. This is DearMamaSal saying thanks, Jody, and everybody else. We'll see you on Sunday. Bye-bye for now.